Questmaster.
Top 5 ships since Ships 2.0, courtesy of the Alliance and good old Maurice. So, Maurice, I know you sat there, took a pen to paper, just turned one light on in your office downstairs in the basement, and just, kind of locked yourself in the room and just kind of thought about what makes sense for ships and why these top 5 ships make sense. And you did that for about a week until you finally emerged with this list. So, what is number 5?
Number 5
explains why he nearly missed his 600 the other day.
It was Maurice's birthday yesterday, and he was in the basement making this list. He skipped his birthday. All right, so what?
Yeah, someone else is 52.
By the way, happy birthday, Maurice! Everybody, happy birthday!
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. And now with that nice lead up, I have to let everybody down saying number 5 is First Order TIE Pilot, one of the original ships in the game. Thank you for the nice build up for that bombshell. Number 5 is First Order TIE Pilot. He's good. Everyone knows what he does. But his new abilities just give him massive amounts of damage. I think there's a 30% damage now on that final Omega. His reinforcement is but you use him same way. And you could sub in a TIE Fighter pilot here, either or. There's like 5A and 5B. They serve the same purpose. They have some of the higher speed for all the ships, and they have a target lock on their basic attacks to really get the target lock train running. But I find First Order TIE Pilot delivers a little more damage. And this is even with the crit damage boost that Thrawn's capital ship gives to TIE Fighter Pilot. I still feel like First Order TIE Pilot gives me more DPS over the course of a battle. Just a very, very good ship. Just same as ship he's always been. Not much change. Just increased damage to his kit.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, it seems like he's still a viable ship, and probably still one of the more high damage attackers that are left in the ships. And again, there's still a lot of gameplay here and testing, and still a lot of time to really assess what the best ships are. And just like last week's initial list, I mean, I know some of you were a little skeptical about some of the different choices that we made for the top 5 reinforcement abilities. That's still going to be true here with the top 5 ships. I mean, there's going to be people that have varying opinions about this. So by all means, this is our opinion of the top 5 ships. And there are other options. There are other ways to think about it. Also, there's different types of content to think about, like PvE for territory wars territory wars and territory battles. So there's different ways to look at it. But these are the top 5 ships, in our opinion, overall in the game right now. And
just standalone ships.
Right, and that could totally change in 30 days from now. So, that's just where we're sitting right now. And I think First Order TIE Fighter does still add a lot of bonuses. Again, the double attack chance, and obviously being able to do a high amount of damage to a target locked enemy. Overall, a great ship. I think will be even a better ship when we do eventually get a First Order capital ship, and I'm sure that's coming at some point too. But that's our number 5 ship for top 5 ships. What's the number 4 ship that we're looking at here, Maurice?
Well, number 4 is Vader, I believe. Yes, Vader. Good old Vader. Again, this is a ship, everybody pretty much knows what it is. This is a guaranteed target lock. He does have the option to put a second Zeta on the character now. His basic ability, his basic attack, the final Omega gives 30% damage. I mentioned, previously, the Thrawn ship gives extra crit damage to Empire ships, and his basic, it's like a truck now, which is nice. Still very squishy. For the most part, does everything the same he used to. His reinforcement ability, I haven't tried it, but it looks a little underwhelming. It just delivers more dots than normal. But this is a ship I use in my starting lineup. Because right now, if you're running a target lock team, you really if you're running a target lock team versus another target lock team, if you miss a target lock, you lose. But Vader ensures it's 100% target lock. Can always get it off. Can remove the taunt if like Boba Fett, Clone Sergeant, Biggs. If they're taunting and they're target locking, just remove it. Just a very good ship. Same as it was before.
Yeah, I mean with the guaranteed basics attack, I mean basically it's an undodgeable, unresistible, unavoidable attack that sticks target lock, which is a very important debuff for ships. It's of course going to be a very important ship overall. Vader, his ship, the TIE Advanced, has not the highest damage in the world, but definitely a lot of versatility with the ability to dispel taunts as well. Obviously, when you have a character that is a guaranteed attack, there's a huge bonus to that because, especially being an Empire ship, because the Empire ships right now, being that the Empire capital ship, the Thrawn ship, is probably the best capital ship that there is out there still, at least in my opinion. I think that obviously any Empire ships that can go with that are going to be tremendous as well. So it just continues with that synergy, and Vader's ship was one of the best ships in the game before Ships 2.0, and continues to be one of the best ships in the game now. I mean, do you have any opinions, McLeod, about this? Are you playing a lot of ships?
Yeah, I mean, the whole RNG seems a lot harsher in ships now. If you don't get that first target lock off with your TIE fighter, which are typically the fastest ships, then the backup of having a guaranteed target lock off Vader, assuming he doesn't just get taken out by the other team straight away, it's essential to get your big train rolling. So yeah, and he does. I mean, I know you said he's not massively DPS, but once you stick those extra abilities on him, he's hitting about as hard as the other TIE fighters now, especially if you use that Thrawn ability where if you max that out as well, you got 60% plus damage. That's one-shotting a couple of ships out that you need to get rid of fast. So yeah, that's pretty much the meta. In terms of ships, it's running that Vader, TIE fighter, and Biggs trio to start off. I think what you're saying about this list changing, it's going to take a while to settle, because right now we've got a meta for new ships that is being presented through the filter of old ships. Everyone had a certain way of going, and no one really invested that much in ships overall, so it was unlikely that you had all the other capital ships maxed out, ready to go, and all your other options ready. So until everyone is slowly grinding those out and has them ready, then we're going to get a meta that's kind of made up of the pieces of the old ships until everyone's ready to start mixing and matching with all the new abilities.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, if you have a completely maxed out Mace Windu ship, this top 5 would be completely different for you. Like the ships like Plo Koon, Fives, the Clone Sergeant, all these ships would be on here. It's very difficult. I try to do standalone ships, and it's tough to do because certain ships work for certain capital ships, and I do think the capital ships are more balanced now. They did a nice job. I think they did a very nice job overall balancing.
It's just the fact that no one has every single ship, right, and every single capital ship ready to go. So like I said, it's through the filter of the old ships that we're getting the current meta of the new ships until everyone's up to speed with all the others, and then can start experimenting at the same levels. So right now this exists because everyone had those ships maxed out for the old ships way of playing and what you needed to have. So right now it's almost kind of a bit tentative, and I don't want to stray off what everyone else is using, because if you use ships that are lower in power, you're just going to drop down. So everyone's using what they have max, which is what you're currently seeing, because that's all what everyone has. And especially when you're limited to the amount of ships total that you can bring in, obviously you got 2 less ships for total squad of everything that you can use that you used to have before. Some ships are falling away, and that's what you're left with. You're left with this very basic same. There's not much variation. It is basically Biggs, a TIE fighter of some description, and Vader to start off, because that's what everyone had. So until everyone works up their Geonosians, or they work up their other capital ships and start finding decent alternatives to what they currently have in their roster, then this is what we're stuck with.
Agreed.
Maurice, are you seeing much variation in your top 50 since the ship's 2.0 update, or is it all pretty much the same? Because like McLeod's saying, ours is honestly, exactly the same. We're all running basically exactly what we always ran, except there are 3 ships in the starting lineup, not 5.
I'm seeing there's one guy that's got a really solid Akbar lead with the Geonosians, but he's invested heavily in all these ships. Like, that was a big gamble out of the gate, and he was right. I mean, that was a good decision, but that's a huge gamble, especially. I mean, these are characters we don't have. Like, I mean, I don't know too many people that have Gear 12 pimped out Geonosians. They got put all the Omegas on the ships, just really decked them out. They work great, but it's like kind of like McLeod was saying, we're so used to being in one mindset, like you just invest in the ships, I think over time, and they got to give us a way to get reinforcement abilities easier. Like, I'm farming this Barris node; it's a complete ripoff. Like,
it's terrible.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
But
drop rate on that is awful.
Oh, and we get like 2 Omegas perhaps from these ship challenges. I think they're open now. So it's going to take some time. You really have to be. It's tough to gamble on certain ships that you think might be good when it takes 20 Omegas that takes you 2 weeks to accumulate. For one ability. I mean, that's a big gamble when, like, the ships that you have already are good, like TIE Advanced, First Order TIE Pilot Bigs. These are ships that are still good. So it's just a safe. People are taking the safe route, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's our number 4 ship in the top 5 ships 2.0. Our number 3 ship is actually the TIE Silencer. Why did we go with the TIE Silencer here, Maurice?
Because it's lightning fast. It's lightning fast. He's got a stun as basic. It is much better offensively because on defense, unfortunately, it favors the bomb move first, and it really takes away a lot of his utility. Because the reason he's so good is because he'll go first and can stun. And this is before any of the opposing team has a chance to target lock you. So there's going to be no taunting big. So you can stun any ship on the fleet, assuming TIE Fighter pilot doesn't dodge you. But I mean, that alone is worth it. He's got tons of stacking offense. He's got a new mechanic with his reinforcement. I like him in the starting lineup just because it gives him more time to be able to build up his offense. Just a great ship, especially you put those 2 Zetas on him and it hits hard. This ship is pretty good. Maybe take it out. Like on your last battle, like I wouldn't leave it in on defense, but offensively, it's definitely one of the better ships available.
Well, I agree 100%. I mean, the ship with the stacking offense and the ability to stun, obviously the amount of damage that its special attack does is a tremendous attacking ship and really a heavy damage dealer. And being that, again, I mean, now, like you said, with some of the increases, like McLeod had mentioned earlier, like the increase in damage to the TIE Advanced, some of the other ships that weren't necessarily hitting as hard before, since ships 2.0 are hitting harder, there's less ships on the board, so it's a little bit less of a drawn-out battle than it was initially, but the TIE Silencer can be a heavy damage dealer when you're and can basically take out a whole ship by itself if it has advantage, because it gains 100% damage when it has advantage. That's tremendous, especially when you're talking about a ship that doesn't have a ton of HP, like maybe the First Order TIE Pilot ship. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there to basically take a ship out almost instantaneously, especially if you've already done a little bit of damage to that ship to start off with. Having that reinforcement ability, if you decide to use it as a reinforcement, which I don't necessarily recommend, I think it'd be better as a ship to come in to start with, right?
Yeah, it's got that afterburner on the reinforcement, which provides even more offense, which I guess maybe could make up for the fact of, make up the offense you lose, but that again, that reinforcement materials are a real pain to get right now. I just think there's better options to invest in right now, reinforcement wise. So you get the afterburner, which can't be dispelled. When he attacks with advantage, reduces cooldowns by 1. That means you can just constantly, drop those bombs. It's a good all around ship, and I think once more and more people really start investing in the Zetas and the gear for Kylo Ren Unmasked, you'll start seeing more. It is a relatively newer ship. It's easy to get, but crew is not easy to gear. And First Order, honestly, is not top shelf. Like, it's not like A+ team. It's a great team, a great all around team, but it's not a necessary team for, especially if you're a free to play player. It's not required. I mean, you can get some offense mods. I mean, with it. I mean, there's a couple of events you can get BB-8, I guess, but you don't have to take them all the way up to Gear 12 to get BB-8. I mean, that's a relatively easy legendary event. So we'll see more of these, as time progresses and people start really getting it up there.
Yeah, but that's our number 3 ship. Moving on to number 2, we have Piston's U-Wing.
Yes, indeed.
So I mean, listen, when I first saw you do this, I thought to myself, Maurice is clearly taking drugs. But I thought about it a little bit more, and it makes a lot of sense. Why did you choose the list to add Piston here to the list?
Well, this is a ship that is one of the more difficult ones to get. You got to get him from the fleet store only. I guess he's available in the raid exchange, the guild currency store, where you get like Wampa and Yoda. But that don't buy anything. Don't buy ships out of there. But he's in there as well. It's a great ship. You really have to invest in this ship. The Scarifable Pathfinder version of it, if you take it all the way up, Piston's U-Wing has 25% speed. In addition, whenever an enemy becomes target locked, an ally gains 35% turn meter and advantage for 2 turns. We just talked about the silencer getting bonus damage from advantage. I mean, 35% turn meter, and right now we've talked about it the whole time we've been discussing this. People are still using target lock mechanics, and every time you land a target lock, a ship gets 35% turn meter. That's incredible. And this is a ship I think that could eventually replace Vader, especially if people start using other capital ships. If you use an Akbar capital ship, Piston is almost a better option than the TIE Advance. They're both slow, but they both have guaranteed target locks. This one, he can inflict target lock, go stealth. But what's really cool about this mechanic is his reinforcement ability. He comes in off the bench stealth for 3 turns, so you don't have to spend a turn just target locking and going stealth. He's automatically stealth, which means when he's stealth, his basic attack is unevadable. Like he's going to hit TFP even if he's got foresight. If you do come in and decide to use the stealth mechanic, you target lock and you get offense up, which Piston with offense up can, I mean, you're talking 80k plus damage. He's, crushing people off the bench. He's nasty. And he calls an assist. So if you got an Akbar lead or Akbar capital, you bring Piston in, somebody assists, gets the protection up and bonus crit damage. Piston then gets the option to either, finish off with his basic or get offense up and target lock an enemy. It's just a very, very good ship. Lots of turn meter mechanics. It really speeds the team up. But again, he's squishy, so you have to keep him alive. That's kind of the trend with a lot of these ships. TIE Advance, Piston, TIE Silencer. They're very squishy ships, but if you can keep them, protected, they do a lot of damage. This is one of my favorite ships now. I use it. I decked it all the way out. I got Piston up to Gear 12, which is a nightmare. That's the thing. This ship is a very, very big investment. Piston and Scarifable Pathfinder are 2 of the most difficult characters to get in the game. But it's kind of ship aspect is kind of worth it. Piston is kind of worthless right now in character battles, but Scarifable Pathfinder is usable. But I like it. The end. 35% turn meter when anybody gets target lock is a lot. That really adds up.
Yeah, he's the one alternate that I see in starting lineups. It is this Piston's U-Wing. So it's proving true in kind of real world situations.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think that this could be kind of a sleeper when it comes to ships that you can, let's say plug into a new meta, and obviously the ability to stealth, and the only real problem with this ship that I see is the characters, right? Because they're not really necessarily meta characters. You're probably not going to be gearing up your Piston and your Scarifable Pathfinder first, but that is an investment you're going to have to make here if you want this ship to work for you. And I think that overall, I mean, I know you love these characters anyway, so you're going to do this regardless. But I think for the average player that doesn't necessarily have the resources, I mean, you may want to go elsewhere first. But at the end of the day, the ships now do provide a tremendous benefit. Now you can go all the way up to rank 50 and still get crystals. So being that this game is a resource intensive game and crystals is the most important resource, it may make sense to invest in characters like this to get your ships up there, even though you may not be able to use them or may not want to use them in other places. You know, Piston does have a lot of versatility as a character and may see some viability in, you know, certain PvE areas like territory battles. You know, and you could possibly help you out in some territory wars victories too if people put in some garbage teams there towards the back, or let's say they have a section where you know, they have some beatable squads out there like Phoenix squads and things like that. You could throw a Piston in there, you know, with an Akbar and maybe a different, you know, some different you know, combination of rebels, and you know, squeak out a win. So there is viability there, but you know, you just have to look for it in the right places. But that's our number 2 ship of top 5 ships 2.0. We're going on to our number 1 ship. And Cheeky, what do you think it is? What do you think is the number 1 ship right now?
Well, he never said Imperial TIE, did he? But then there's Biggs as well.
And you're right, Chicky. You're right. Oh. You're right. It's Biggs Darklighter. Yes. Yes.
Unfortunate.
Yes.
What a super boring number 1.
I mean, Cheeky was right on the money with Biggs Darklighter, and you know, she didn't say TIE Fighter first. She said Biggs Darklighter. So anybody who heard that, you didn't hear that. Okay, but what do you think about Biggs Darklighter here, Maurice? Why do you think he's number 1?
Well, it's just he is the go-to tank, and you know, the new Omegas just further increase his protection recovery. Now, I mean, if you really max him out and go all in on him, that's 40% protection he recovers anytime somebody target locks, and that's a lot. That's a whole lot. You know, he gets a little bit of a damage on his, you know, his special move. He gets a little bit of a damage boost, but his basic attack now, you know, if he target locks, he's got a chance to target lock if he crits. And if you use him now, if you max out the hit, the mark, the basic, he gets 5% crit chance for each rebel ally. So if you're reusing an all rebel fleet, Biggs is going to be constantly be hitting the target locks. He's constantly be taunting. And there's a guy on my shard that actually invested all the way in his reinforcement ability, which is it's good, but you know, just everyone uses him in the starting lineup, so it's not required. But I'll tell you, it's super annoying. He comes in off the bench, instantly target locks somebody, so it automatically makes him taunt, and then he gets an additional 30% protection on top of all the other protection he's getting. Is very difficult to kill if somebody brings him in on the first reinforcement. It's really annoying. It's a kind of a investment because he is useful. You know, obviously you want to use him in your starting 3, but if you do invest with him off the bench, he's a nightmare. He just doesn't die. Like it's crazy. And you know, with these Akbar fleets now, you know, they're getting so much protection from all the assists, the attacking out of turn, all this stuff. I mean, they're really, really difficult. You almost have to just play to stall until you get like a Thrawn bomb or the Tarkin TFP, or excuse me, the Tarkin TIE assault. Like you almost have to stall out, and that's how you win. Like you can't take them out of the sky because they just constantly regain protection. Biggs is it's unfortunate, it's boring, you know, because he's always been a top ship and he still is. And just they made him even better. So yeah.
Well, yeah.
Also, the only other way to take out a Biggs is to use Biggs special, where he calls in an assist. That's how you do massive damage to a Biggs quickly. Yeah. So yeah, all around, pretty much the number 1 ship right now.
Pretty much the ship that you have to have in your lineup, and I mean it's just, you know, it sucks because I know, I mean, like there's definitely a lot more, you know, there's definitely a lot more flashy options out there that you'd rather throw in as your 3rd ship, because now we have less options. You know, I mean, it's not like you have all 5 and, like, you know, Biggs is just one of your 5. Now you have 3, but you need to protect those other 2, and that's why you have Biggs. And I mean, his kit is just so tremendous, and overall, I mean, he's an easy character to farm. The ship, you know, is easy to get to. So I mean, overall, I mean, it's just a character that you have to have. So I think it's without a doubt the number 1 ship out there. And we do have an honorable mention, but it's not 1 ship. it's multiple ships, and we're looking at them right now. It's the Geonosians. So
yes, and this is these are honorable mentions just because these, as I kind of mentioned a few minutes ago, this is a big investment. But the three of them together, especially under Akbar, they are really, really difficult to take down. Geonos and Soldier actually is got a nice little facelift. If you use them all together, they have like passive bonuses. And Geonos and Soldier now provides an accuracy bonus when all the Geonosians are together. So that means like TIE fighter pilot can't dodge. You'll hit him every time. You know, their ships like Cassian's, you know, they grant sort of an evasion mechanic, you know, defense, crit avoidance, all that stuff. I mean, nobody uses Cassian, but if they did, hey, this is a nice counter to that. It's very, very difficult to take down. Lots of assists. Geonos and Soldier just goes and goes and goes. And underneath that Akbar lead, he's attacking out of turn. So he's just getting protection. Because he is relatively squishy. Spy now, if you hit him, he goes stealth. And Sunfac is just as annoying as he always is. There's lots of, especially if you bring him off the bench. You can bring him off the bench and he stuns. And then he can stun again with his move. Like if somebody's buffed, you pick a target ally, stun them, bring him in, stun somebody else. It's pretty wicked. Just shuts down the team. Very, very fun to use. I've used them all. Mine are all gear 10, gear 11, and they've got just the normal purple mats. No megas invested, and I'm winning with them. But they don't hold on defense, so I take them out. It's fun to play, and this is a team. You know, down the road, I think if people really start investing in it, you will see more of it. If nothing else, it gives you a viable second fleet. Like in TW, you can put in your very best fleet on defense, and then you can use the Geonosians under, you know, an Akbar or even a Tarkin. Whoever you didn't use on defense, your second best capital ship, just use your 3 Geonosians and then just pull in some whatever you got left off the bench, and you got a good chance of winning a battle. So this is I'm excited about it because I mean I love the Geonosians obviously, but this is going to be fun to see.
Well, the Geonosians were never viable in arena, so now they're at least there was a small period of time. Okay, and I'm talking about a very minute period, like we could almost call it a schmeckle of time. Okay, where the Geonosians were okay with an IG-88 lead, and that's it. That's literally it. Okay, and I even tried that too because I was an idiot. And I'll tell you that it was short-lived, but it was only really because we wanted it to be good. Okay, it was one of those things where, you know, if you put enough mods on the team and you try hard enough, you know, you can be anything that you want in life. You know, the Geonosians, because we tried hard enough, they were okay in arena. But the thing is that I can't believe that there's still not a 5th Geonosian in this game. How could you do this? You know what I'm saying? How could you sell Sunfac and then not give us a 5th? I mean, there should be a Geonosian commander in here. Or, you know, Sunfac's brother, you know, Guadalupe should be in this game.
Guadalupe, huh?
that's his brother. That's his brother's name. Listen.
Geonosian Soldier, Geonosian Spy, Guadalupe.
Tell me you wouldn't farm Guadalupe right away. Okay, because I would. I would. But no, yeah, the ships are great. You know, Geonosian Soldier calls in assist. Geonosian Spy calls in assist for stealthed allies. Sunfac has a passive taunt, and obviously his reinforcement ability is also really good as well. Overall, all these ships add a ton of value and can be great. I think more so as reinforcements than you know, a ship combination, but Maurice will probably tell you different. So,
Spy's reinforcement ability is really, really great. If you max it out, you know, he comes in, and granted, you have to target an ally, so that ally is probably going to be taunting already, but it will pull out a second ship to taunt. So, I mean, you just don't have to hit the taunting ship. Like if he comes in, you know, he'll give Biggs a second taunt, then he might make TFP taunt or first order TIE pilot taunt. Some other ship that's being protected by the tanks just pulls them right out, and you can just blow them up and just like, yeah, it's really cool. We're not going to see that mechanic too much out of the gates. Just, I mean, I wouldn't recommend investing in that as your first reinforcement ability, but it is a cool one for, you know, 6-8 months down the road when we get some more access to these ability maps.
Right, and we have all the reinforcement abilities at that point, hopefully. But yeah, we'll see. But that was our top 5 ships, courtesy of the Alliance and good old Maurice. And if you like that, you know, please like and subscribe.
Yes, Master.